I just became Batman for a month, and I was saving people from the evil Joker. Seriously, he was a big deal, but now I'm back. Nah, I'm just trolling. I actually just finished doing my exams and I had to study for them in order for me to pass because I actually want a good future. If I don't have a good future, then my well-being will be screwed. If my well-being will be screwed, then I won't be able to feel happy. If I won't be able to feel happy, I will become depressed. If I become depressed, I will become suicidal. Whatever, you get it. The point is that I really needed to take a break from making YouTube videos for a while so that I can actually focus on my education and the positive state of my well-being. Obviously, this won't be the only time where I will take a break from making content. I'll talk about this subject in a future video. You all clicked on this video, you know the drill. Phineas and Ferb is one of my favorite shows of all time. I mean, look at my profile picture. The show honestly means a lot to me, and for good reason. It has great characters, writing, music, voice acting and comedy, especially in the first two seasons, that can entertain not only kids, but adults as well. This was the case for the whole run of the show. I remember first watching the show back in 2012 at such a young age, and I wasn't even old enough to be part of the target demographic of the show until when the show ended in 2015, and seeing that last episode as a 6-year-old made me cry. I would watch reruns all the time, and I was really sad that the show ended. As I got older though, I didn't really mind, as the show engulfed us with S-tier material. Even in those seasons that weren't as amazing as the first two seasons, were still pretty good seasons. The show had a good ending, and it didn't need to come back at all. Eventually, the show would technically return in different ways, whether it would be in a crossover with Milo Murphy, which by the way, you guys should watch that show, it's underrated, and I've heard that Dan Papamaya might make a season 3. Or a new movie, which honestly wasn't as good as I remembered it being back then in 2020. Like there's a literal scene containing the Flash in it. I was 11 then, so I guess that's why I liked the movie. No offense to anyone over the age of 11 who likes the movie. Also, if you're 12, you shouldn't be watching my channel or YouTube in general. It ain't appropriate for you. Go do your English homework, bruh. Where was I? I'm lost now. Oh yeah, but then in 2023, I was absolutely shocked that Phineas and Ferb got announced to be picked up for 2 more seasons. And here we are in 2025, 10 years after the show quote unquote ended. And it is back, and I was mostly excited. If I told my 6-year-old self in 2015 that Phineas and Ferb would return for 2 more seasons a decade later, they would be ecstatic, and they'd probably be sent to the ICU for making the whole house collapse. However, the revival's existence had me a bit dumbfounded. Growing up, I realized that Phineas and Ferb had a perfect conclusion. Dr. Doofenshmirtz stopped being evil, and now that the show has to come back, the status quo has to be reset back to normal. The impact that the ending had is just gone, both impacting the audience's emotions and the characters themselves. I still have somewhat high hopes from the revival, because most of the crew members and the creators are returning, and judging by the first episode of the revival, we are so back. Hopefully though, only half of the season's 20 episodes had gotten released on Disney Plus. I've only watched 7 of them. I watched episodes 2 to 7 on Twitter lol. Disney didn't do shit for some reason. One user posted all the episodes that dropped on Disney Plus on Twitter. I'll be mainly talking about the first episode of the revival, and my overall thoughts on the revival. We're already like a couple minutes in the video anyway, so let's get into it. Warning, spoilers for those who haven't seen the first episode of season 5. The episode starts off with the background directly showing to us that Phineas and Ferb are now in middle school, which is actually pretty intriguing. It's a fucking shame that Phineas and friends are most likely only gonna be in school, and this episode feels like a federal crime seeing Phineas and Ferb in school. Like it's so surreal. Phineas discusses what he did over the summer, and his teacher is pretty chill with it for some reason. Everyone except Phineas, Ferb, and maybe Baljeet. And no, this is not a racist joke, are most likely getting no grades at all because of that teacher. We then get a musical number that slaps so hard. Like I'm happy that Dan Papamaya and his crew still got the groove. I wouldn't say the same thing about the animation style. Like wow, it is very inconsistent. One minute the animation looks good, The next minute it looks like straight hot fucking garbage.
What the fuck is that?
Phineas and Ferb is the most popular Disney show, so I'd assumed that they'd have the budget to make the animation look consistently good. But no, the animation looks mediocre. Let's be honest though, we didn't love Phineas and Ferb solely because of its animation. In one part of the first song of the first episode of season 5, Doof implies that he tried to be good, but for some unknown reason, he just randomly wanted to become evil again. We better get a valid explanation for that. I'd assume that you're a Phineas and Ferb fan, or enjoy it, so I'm just gonna assume that you know that Dr. Doofenshmirtz, who was the main villain of the show, had an arc at the end of season 4. He was convinced by his daughter Vanessa to change his ways. He stopped obsessing over taking over the tri-state area, and finally learned to become a good person. We literally see him at the end of the first one of the series, having a good time hanging out with Perry, Vanessa and Norm. What's different here is that he's chilling with Perry, you know, his nemesis. That fact alone basically emphasizes his character change in the series, and it's sad that his character got assassinated just for this revival. We even saw his good guy character arc explored in season 2 of Milo Murphy's Law. Sure, Phineas and Ferb is an episodic comedy, but still, I love how in the first scene of the show, there are characters in Phineas' school that show up in the song, and they'll probably never be in the show ever again. Aside from the Fireside Girls, which by the way they did get their own episode this season, which was actually a great episode. If I were those kids, I would beat the shit out of the crew members of the show. I'm only joking guys, I'm joking, don't do anything to me, I'm literally joking. The song and choreography in the first episode of the revival is pretty great, and the episode is shaping up to be pretty good as well, so far, despite my complaints. And it is indeed not pretty good, but rather great. The invention Phineas, Ferb and his friends made is actually aggressively creative, thanks to Candace.
I don't know. Why not build them all?
Great idea, Candace!
And the characters are still funny, especially Candace and Doofenshmirtz. Speaking of Doofenshmirtz, his first invention he created is known as the Vaporizonator, in which he uses it to make things disappear. This will be very important for the episode by the way. We get some funny jokes with him in the episode, and Vanessa shows up in his lair catching him in 8K Ultra HD, becoming evil again. Also in this same episode, we see Linda telling Candace to remember to show up for their next family photo, and Candace, being Candace, questions why they keep on capturing family photos every year, and Linda responds with this.
I just want to capture these memories because you guys are growing up so fast. No time for waterworks. These pictures always make me cry.
Yeah, this scene becomes more sad and dark when you realize what happened to her at the end of the segment. Unexpectedly, Candace gets so addicted to busting Phineas and Ferb that it causes her to somewhat accidentally cause the killing of her own mother, which is actually caused by Perry when he escapes Doofenshmirtz's trap and ties up Doof. Doof falls and bangs his head into the Vaporizonator, causing it to shoot a laser into the ground, and it ends up landing on Linda. Candace and even Phineas and Ferb become shocked. Like, that scene gave me goosebumps when I first saw it. The internet was flabbergasted. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. The show just came back and they had the balls to kill off Phineas's mom this early. Obviously she's not gonna be dead forever. I mean, they literally revived her in the second segment, and she technically got reincarnated into a sentient cloud in the same episode before she got turned back to normal, but still, this is pretty dark and a bold mood, and I can't lie, I actually kinda like her, honestly. It just increases the tension of the episode and makes it all the more watchable, as it has an emotional impact on the characters and the audience, which increases the quality of the episode and increases the experience for the viewer even better as a result. And I for one loved that decision, even though it was pretty sad to see Linda literally dying in the first episode of the second one of the show. They used the same formula as every other episode, yet the way it was executed was subversive in such a great way. Phineas and Ferb do work together with Isabella, Buford and Baljeet to bring Linda back to her normal form. Perry was pretty much all of Ferb when he basically got Linda back to her normal form. He accidentally caused her to be killed, and he intentionally brought her back to normal. I love how they increased the stakes of the show right after a decade of the show not getting episodes, and I for one think that is an amazing way to start a revival. There were still some funny and charming visual gags and references. Hell, there's a reference to the show's theme song. Honestly, I'm hoping that we'd get more character-driven episodes like this, and even some more time skip episodes like the actual age episode from season 4, just to make the season and the show as a whole feel more grounded. If you're not aware, this is a special episode of the show. It doesn't even start with the theme song, and despite all the things that I have said in this video, I'm just wondering, will the show's quality be fucked in the future? Don't get me wrong, this episode was a great episode, but usually when a show goes on for too long, it jumps the shark. And sure, there is a good episode a once in a while, but that's only a once in a while, making the season range from mid to bad. And I'm honestly thinking, this might happen to Phineas and Ferb. This episode at best was just a light 8 out of 10 to me. I'm just begging the new one to at least be an 8 out of 10 overall. I just don't want the legacy of the show to be soiled just because the show has gone on for too long. Though I shouldn't judge yet, and I should wait until I've watched all the episodes of season 5 and season 6 as well. Gosh, that's 2 extra seasons already, and season 6 isn't even out yet, which I'm pretty sure it won't come out until like 2026 or something. If you've seen the first episode of the revival, which is free to watch on YouTube, which is how I watched it, let me know your thoughts on it. I think I kinda regret criticizing the revival just a teensy little bit. The season so far is actually pretty good, I can't lie. The revival is pretty good in my opinion, as it has great jokes and visual gags. Definitely not as peak as the first 4 seasons, but still a good watch, and I'm honestly happy that it's actually not bad, but it's actually good. It's still good, the show is still good. Sadly, this revival in my opinion so far is probably like a strong 7 out of 10. At least the show is still good, but I'm fearing that season 6 will be a 6 out of 10 at best, which as a result would not deem the season as good. Prove me wrong, Disney. Most segments of the episodes of season 5 that I watched are good and beyond, while only 1 or 2 episodes were just a decent 6 out of 10 or something, so there's still some hope. There was one episode in season 4 where Stacy learns about Perry's secret, and it gets expanded upon in one season 5 episode, which was actually one of my favorite episodes of the revival. It's a really great episode that kinda justifies the revival's existence, and I honestly appreciate that the crew members remembered about that episode and expanded Stacy, and as a result made her have an arc to some extent. Even if the revival as a whole is good, which so far it actually is, it still doesn't make it necessary. Also, the new theme song they made for the revival is great. Anyways, next they should revive Milo Murphy's Law. Seriously, I think they should.